888-7753-773. Let me go to Beverly out of Montana. Beverly, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Beverly.
So I called a couple weeks ago and talked about my mother, and you had said, that I needed to forgive her by calling, and so I did, and it was funny because I had to re-listen to our conversation twice because you had said something about doing things like right away before the devil talks you out of it,
yes,
and not to think about it.
Right.
And it was so funny because that's exactly what happened. I kept going like, well, why do I have to actually call her? And then I'd have to listen to the whole thing over again because I couldn't remember why I had to do it. So
you could not remember why you had to forgive, or why you had to call her.
Why I had to call her, because
okay.
I kept thinking, and I'd heard people on your show before saying, well, I did it in my heart, and you're like, no, you didn't. And so I'd listen to the call again, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's right. It's just so funny how resistant I was, and so it was the day before Thanksgiving, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and she rarely answers her phone because she's not real technological, and she's got a flip phone, and she never hears it. So I went out to my car because I just didn't want to be disturbed. And anyway, she answered, and she talked for a bit about, her health. And then she said, so what's up with you? And I said, I was shaking, like my hands were shaking, my chest, like when she was talking the whole time, I was having to take all these deep breaths because I don't really know why. It was like physically I was nauseous.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a lot. And so then I said, well, I just wanted to say that I know I was wrong to resent you for all the things that happened to me as a young girl. And I know that you couldn't help yourself. And I tried to keep it short because
what the?
Because that was kind of it, And then she said, "Oh well, I don't know. I think she said like, thank you. So what brought this on?" And then she was like a God moment or something, And I said, well, I just, I really wanted, and of course, I didn't know what to say to that because, I was trying, you'd said not to expect anything, and I was trying not to, practice responses, so I just left it alone. And then I said, well, I really wanted to be freed from the memories and, and heal from it all. And she said, well, I'm just so glad, I prayed for you that you would be healed. And, and I was just like, whatever. And and then when I was sitting there hearing this, and then she said, well, I just think that we should just put it all behind us and move forward from here. And I just want to be real with you for a second. I don't know if I can share this, but on your show, but when this all started with her band members and club owners and boyfriends, molesting me, I was just turned 14 when her drummer had come and was repeatedly coming when she was gone and was raping me. And when she found out about it, because I was journaling it in a diary, she got really angry at me, and it was horrible. He was old, he was gross. I had my hands, I'd never been with a man in my life. I had my hands over my face. I was crying, saying I didn't like it, it hurt, and he just kept going. And he kept coming every couple weeks. And anyway, so this was a horrible event, and this is just the first of many. And so when she had read that in my diary, she was yelling at me, calling me, and so for 3 months she called me a slut and a whore and all these horrible names, and
Amazing.
how I had no class, and all these, just treated me awful for 3 months. And of course I was, a child. I was just apologizing the whole time. And finally she said one day, well, I've decided that I'm just going to put this behind us. And it reminded me just like that when she said it. She goes, we're just going to move forward from here. And I remember just being so relieved that she wasn't going to torment me anymore by throwing it in my face, that I was just like, oh, thank you, thank you. And when she said that on the phone, it brought all that up, and it was amazing because God, instead of me just getting re-injured by, because I was like, oh man, this is why I never wanted to do this. It was like God came in, and it was just like, it just made me think about Jesus on the cross when he was saying, forgive them for they don't know what they do, because she really has no idea. And I kept saying to myself, like what you had said to me in that call, was that I want, like, she doesn't know. And then the Bible verse, I don't know, you're the Bible something thing, but when I'm just new to you, so, but I am, I'm a Bible memorizer, so, but, in Corinthians where Jesus had, or someone said, about how God, like Satan has blinded their eyes and they can't see, and that came to me, and it was like, she literally has no clue, and God has been so gracious to open my eyes, and this woman is going to hell as we sit here right now, and she can't help herself. And I was thinking about what you had said about, hating your brother and not loving God and not having love and all these things, and I actually did not get I did for a second, but then it went away. It's like I didn't get re-traumatized by the whole thing.
Yes.
And I just let it, I was just like, you don't know. And she goes, well, I'm just going to put it behind us, and then we're just going to move on. And then, we started talking about football, because I'm a huge football nut, and she, likes to watch football, so we talked about that. And then anyway, then she told me how she's spending, she was going to leave me some money, and she said, oh, I just want to let you know I'm going to have to use that money. Ha ha, you're not going to get any money. And I was like, whatever. It's like, I never expected it anyway, but I just had to kind of laugh at that, because I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And then at the end, I'm like, we continued to talk, and I did it, and then I really needed to get off the phone, and we talked for like, I want to say a half an hour, and then I just needed to go because I couldn't, and I hung up, and Jesse, I had no feelings.
Yeah.
I'm like, Lord, did that work? Because I truly knew it had to be sincere, because I don't give out false praise, and I don't apologize unless I'm truly sorry. That's kind of my own thing. But I was like, I really, really meant it when I said I was wrong to resent you, and I'm sorry. And because I really believed that she can't help. I really believe that, and I wanted God's forgiveness, and so it was sincere. So I walked in the house, and I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I have no feelings.
Yes.
I have nothing. It was weird. And then I walked in. I was still a little shaky. There was this brandy on my counter for my turkey dress, because I cooked it in brandy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take a shot of the brandy because I had the shakes kind of. And I'm like, okay, no, you always say, to feel feelings and like let them go, like don't do anything with it, like just to let them pass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like drink that right this second. So I let it pass, and then I was just like, okay, well, I'm okay. I don't feel anything. But I just to close, because I know you've got callers, but it all kind of like, I feel fine, and I don't hate her. I don't know what love is, honestly. Also, that's another thing. I don't really think I know what love is. So, I'm not going to say I don't love or hate or whatever. But anyway, but the interesting thing is, I don't have all that energy anymore. Like, I don't mind talking to her. She was texting me a bunch, during the football games, and I don't mind her now. It used to be so terrible to have to, when she'd call, I'd get sick or send me a text or something, and it's nothing.
Amazing.
So I just, and the other thing is, like, I'm noticing, like, I have less anger because I have been an extremely angry person most of my life and trying to suppress it, and then it blows up in different ways, raging. But I just find that I'm settled in so many areas of my life now. I can't believe, like, how even my husband is just like, normally I'm so reactive, and I just feel like it's kind of the beginning of something. And a lot of the things that you're saying about not imposing my will on my kids, that has, letting that go, letting them go, instead of trying to control everything and there's so many areas of my life where I have an awareness now of not, like, I don't need to do it.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like my need, I'm so intense. And then you're talking about emotions and thoughts and how they've tortured me my whole life. And to now just be like, I'm just going to let that pass. And it's really been amazing. So.
Amazing. Wow. I understand salvation's of the heart, and that's what it means to be born again. It's when the heart is changed from hate to love. And love is not a feeling. Hate is a feeling, a phony feeling of feeling good and a phony feeling of feeling bad. But in love, real love, the nature of God, there is no feelings. It's not based on any feelings at all. And that way you can go through life without reacting to life, because the ego is not being, which is the false nature, is not bothering you. And you thinking that it is you. You're on your way now. And all you have to do now is let go, as you're doing. And it's going to happen naturally. You stay with the silent prayer, watch those thoughts. And if you do get caught up in some of them, and you will, because you've been so addicted to them all these years, and so you get the feeling of anger, you get the feeling of fear or whatever, relax in it. Don't run away from it. Don't fight with it. Don't call it you. Just know it's not you. It's the spirit of evil that's in the mind. And now the light of God that has made a home in you will destroy the darkness of the spirit. You don't have to do anything about it now, but become a watcher. And Satan is going to be trying to tell you, oh, you're still angry, you still this. It's not you. Just know that's not me. I didn't come up with these thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And you'll be fine. And once the ego die, and it will if you stay with it, you're going to fly like a bird.
It was funny how it took me a week of going back and forth in my mind, back to those thoughts again before I called. That's why I had to keep listening to the phone call, and then I kept thinking about it, and I would keep listening to your show every day. And then, and you had said something like about not about the thoughts, and about them not being you, and you. One of the things that really hit home is when you said people love their hell or something like that. They love living in that. And I thought, when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I love the rage. I think I love I think I love it because it makes me work harder. It makes me get things done. It keeps my mind, like, I'm just like always turmoiling because I'm, I guess, addicted to that adrenaline. And because I have an adrenaline junkie anyway, and so I'm always doing things that, are dangerous. And I was like, I'm like, wow, I think I do love this hell that I live in, and I don't. Am I really willing to give it up? Am I really willing to, to stop the hell? And and give forgiveness and have peace. When you say you want peace, do you really want it?
Nice.
And it was just like all the stuff you were saying was really, brought me to the point of making the freaking phone call. And it really, it was not easy, but I'm so glad I can't believe how much I guess the devil was trying to keep me from, because you kept saying the devil doesn't want you to do it because he doesn't want you to be free.
Yeah.
And all those thoughts and all the emotions and all that stuff that I've been in bondage to, and thinking it's me and hating myself and thinking I'm so, just all of it. I'm just like, okay, you're not me. Like, that's not me.
Yep, that's right.
Anyway, I just thought I'd give you the update on it.
That's amazing. That is an amazing Christmas gift. And that's hell on earth to live that way. You're in hell on earth, the hell is in you. And every human being walking this earth, there's not one that doesn't have that in them, but only a few are willing to get to know themselves, to know thyself so they can overcome it. Only a few. They love their hell, they love hating others, and they think that it's life when it's really death. It's really hell.
The hard part is when now, getting this insight. So I got a phone call, and this is another blessing. I got a phone call from the bail bonds. My son had gotten arrested for a DUI, and he's got a drinking problem. And normally, this is just yesterday, and normally I would have been, driving up there, and just freaking out and trying to control and doing all this stuff. And I was just like, because you always talk about, everybody's on their own journey. You let them work it out themselves and not imposing your will and all that.
Yeah.
And it really was like, when I finally got a hold, we finally called, I was just like, well, you're angry and, until you can, let go. And I said, you need to forgive your mom, me and your dad. And his dad, and we're not married anymore. He's an alcoholic. His dad is, and so I was been angry because he made my son an alcoholic in my mind. And then, of course, I raged, living with the alcoholic, all that. And I said, that I was very angry, and I said, I hope that you can, work through all that. And he was making all these excuses, and I just let it. I was just like, I can't help. You need help, and I could let it go. And then live a happy day. I was like, just like putting him in God's hands. And I'm just like, I'm not going to try to impose my will on you. Like, I can't control you. I can't control anybody.
That's right.
And it's just like, this is all pretty cool, Jesse. So anyway, I appreciate you.
Amazing. Stay with it. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets it gets better. Well, were you surprised how afraid you were to face your mother as a grown woman?
Oh, my goodness. I'm in the car shaking. My hands were shaking. It was this visceral stomach nausea. It was unbelievable what was going on physically.
I want to ask, can you hold on for a minute? I want to ask you about that right after this break.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I want to go quickly back to Beverly. Talking to Beverly in the first hour, she finally went and forgave her mother and talked about how difficult it was. You can podcast that. I can't repeat it all, but it was an amazing story, a witness to what happens when you finally face what's happening in you. It's all about it begins, it starts and ends with you. Know thyself. And Beverly is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Once you know yourself, you're on your way. It's amazing. But I wanted to ask, she talked about how afraid she was as a grown person to face her mother. Beverly.
Yes.
And so were you surprised when all the fear was there when you knew you were about to talk to this woman on a telephone? You weren't even looking at her. Were you surprised? Were you surprised the fear you had to go to your mother to say, I'm sorry for resenting you?
Yeah, because like I said, I guess I wasn't thinking of it, this fear. I didn't know what this was, why I was shaking and why I was sick to my stomach and why I was so much not wanting to do it. And the only thing I could think of when I was sitting there waiting for her to stop talking and I was doing all these breathing was when you said how the devil doesn't want you to do it.
Yeah.
And, and I don't, it was really disturbing when you would say things like, that I'm listening to him or, that, that I don't love God, all these different things. But it helped me thinking about that because I was like, what else would it be? Or why else would I be like this? Why would I not want to be delivered? And what was really the reason why I didn't want to say this? Because it truly, I had to do a lot of thinking because I truly did believe that I was wrong to resent her because she really doesn't know any better. She's blinded by the devil. She doesn't have the light of God. She doesn't understand. She doesn't know, and it's hard to, and like when you always say anybody could be Jeffrey Dahmer,
every human being with anger is 2 hoops of a holler for becoming Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And I guess the question would be like, really now, like when my eyes have been opened to so much now, and I look around and I see so much crazy all of a sudden.
Yes.
Of other, and like even my son, and when he's sitting there talking, and I'm just like, and you always say, again, I just started listening to you, but I hear you say a lot, like, don't worry about it. Like, let people live in their hell. There's, they'll have to get out of it on their own. And I do want to pray for my kids to come to this realization, but anyway, I don't know what that physical stuff was really all about and why I was at 60 years old, you always say, when you get in front of someone, you'll find your courage. And I was like, I was determined to do it. So that was, I guess, my courage just, it was just a matter of determination, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
That's why, when I hear people, when I ask some people, have you gone and forgiven your mother? They're like, yeah, I did it in my heart. I'm like, no, that it. Now you see why they want to do it in the heart. But God said, said to go and face the person, forgive, because you will get your courage back and everything, because He is with you, right? And you were traumatized in front of that person and became afraid. And when you face that, you get your courage back. But most people want to do it in the heart because they're scared to go and face mama. And so they try to take the cowardly way out, and it doesn't work.
I like what you said just now. You said because you were afraid of them, and then when you face them,
you get your courage back.
After you do it. It's like after I was done and I walked in the house, I had nothing. Like I had no feelings.
Yes.
It was, and it is. That what you just now said, I think really hit me because it's like I did get courage to face the rest of my life. Really.
Yes, absolutely. And you reminded me when I remember I had gone to different churches trying to figure out what was wrong with me, why I had this fear, why I couldn't stand up and doubt and stuff, and I just couldn't overcome it. I had tried everything. So I finally asked God to let me know me, let me know myself, let me see what was wrong. And He allowed me to see. And I had believed once I moved to California, all the lies about racism and all that crap, that didn't help. And so I finally asked God to let me see myself. And He allowed me to see that I resented my mother. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow. And I knew I had to go and face her, right? Because He said, go and forgive, and I will forgive you. And I'm like 38 at the time, and I was shaking in my boots. I'm like, why am I afraid about? I'm a grown man. You're a grown man. I was trembling, and I'm like, what the?
And why do you think that is?
Because I resented her. She caused me to resent her, and in that very moment, I became afraid because anyone that has anger has fear. And so I was afraid to face the person that had traumatized me. And so I didn't know that until I was allowed to see that that's what it was, because I had this emotion. I thought it was love. But when I went and faced her, it was all gone. I never had to look back on that. I never had to think about the fear or anything. And I want to tell you, you mentioned love. You don't know what love is. Now you do. Love is simply not hating. Now that you don't resent her, you love her. And it's not your love, it's the love of the Father, of God, working through you. You can't credit for that love. It's not you, and it's not your love. He's loving you, and you're loving her in the same way that he's loving you, in a non-judgmental way. You don't resent her, you don't judge her, you're not angry. And that's what God's love is. It's not a feeling.
Well, that's really a relief, because I've always, when you told me that I didn't love God because I had all this resentment for my mom.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't like that you said that. And but I've had conversations. I guess I didn't like it because it was true, because I've had conversations with God before about feeling bad because I don't feel like I loved him.
Yep.
I don't feel like I really loved anybody.
Yep.
And then I was like, I don't even, because I don't like saying "and I love you" very much.
Yeah.
I don't like, like I say "love you" like that. I never did it a lot, because I don't know, just don't like saying it. And anyway, it'll all work. I mean, I know I'm just kind of beginning on this, but taking that hard shell that you get from, being years of abuse, and then being a drug addict, and then being, it's a nightmare for so many years. You get this hard shell on you, and not wanting to let it go,
Yeah.
to kind of, and so, sorry.
No problem. But what I want you to know, all you have to do now, stay with the silent prayer. And if you're still doing your little hooping and hollering, get up and do your little hooping and hollering, because it's a habit now. You've been trained that way. Eventually that will fall away too, because you will see the hooping and hollering and asking God and praying to God as a waste of time. And you'll be still now. Do the silent prayer and just watch. Watch the not you, which are the thoughts. And because now you're watching them by the light, the kingdom of heaven within. You're watching the not you. You are not your thoughts. All thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. and you just watch that, and eventually the ego will start to crumble, and it's going to feel like you, but it's not you. It's the thing that Paul was talking about when he said that the Spirit made a home in me. It making me do things that I don't want to do, and it prevented me from doing the right thing, right? That is the light will kill that, taken away from you, rebuke that from you, and the kingdom of heaven is yours. You got to see, you got to know God. You won't intellectually know about him, knowledge of, but you will know him, and it's just going to be amazing for you.
I appreciate everything that you've said. I really do. I'm on my third time through the Bible, and when you talk, and I mean, I've been a Bible memorizer, Bible whatever, and it has. I don't want to say it. None of it's been in my heart, because I do feel like I have. I've changed so much since I came to the Lord, but it really has been like I kind of felt like I was stagnant, like I couldn't get past anything. And this emotion thing, when you talk about the thoughts, that has been probably the greatest deliverance that I have ever experienced, next to this thing with my mother. But because when I'm thinking thoughts, because they have made me literally insane all my life.
Yes.
Looking at them now, that they're not mine, that it's Satan put thought, and I can almost laugh at it now and just be like, nice try.
That's right. Amazing.
And I just move on. So anyway, thank you so much, and I appreciate so much your time and help, and I'll be moving forward, and I'll call you again as God,
Absolutely.
continues to reveal His truth in my life. So thank you.
Now, you're welcome, and now all you have to do is go for the ride. You got to now know God. It's amazing.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome, Beverly, and stay with us. Stay with it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to call, all right?
Thank you.
Okay. Amazing. Bye now. Amazing, right? Know thyself, folks. The world don't love you, and you don't love the world. There's not one thing that one human being can give you to make you free. It ain't going to happen. All you're going to do is repeat the same thing for the rest of your life. And then you're justified by making up excuses for your misery. You will justify it by making up excuses for your misery. And you cannot make another person see, so don't waste your time about it. You can't make it, not even your own husband or wife or children or family member or anyone. You can't make yourself see. You have to want to see. You have to know something is wrong. Know thyself. All right.